Hi, everybody. We're going to get started now. Can you hear me in the back?
No.
They can't.
No.
So, can you tell them to come up?
Yes, say it.
Hello, can you hear me? We're going to get started.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Folks in the back, can you hear me? All right, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Wow, okay, good. Oh, we got another microphone coming. All right, how's this?
Better.
That sounds better. Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. My name's Adam Beach, and I'm thrilled to be starting my 10th year as the Dean of the Graduate School here at Ball State. I'm an English professor and also have been serving in the capacity of overseeing graduate education at Ball State for the last decade. We're really thrilled to be welcoming you all here, both here in person and to all of our students online who are watching us. Before we get started, I wanted to fill you in on some details about our orientation meeting. So during the first 45 minutes or so, you'll be hearing from me, and then we'll have an interactive question and answer session with current graduate students who will give you some advice and answer your questions about being a graduate student at Ball State. Then those here in person, we have a resource fair and reception and free food. And there's people from all over campus who've come to talk to you and tell you about the resources that they have available for you on our campus. Those attending online will stay on Zoom and have an additional hour of programming from our Division of Online and Strategic Learning that will outline resources available to our online graduate students and strategies for success. If you're on Zoom, of course, we're 5 years into the post-pandemic. Please have your mics muted, and the chat feature will be open, and our awesome staff members, Courtney and Michelle, who are over there, will be sharing important information and links in the chat, and we'll be there to answer your questions. And by the way, if you ever get an email from Courtney Quinn, Michelle Miller, or Karen Mandino, or from the graduate school, make sure to read it, because it's important, and they are really awesome staff members. I think one of the best teams on campus, we work every day to help support you and serve you and answer your questions and help you figure out what you need. And if our staff doesn't know the answer to the question, we know who to go to help you figure out what you need. So the graduate school is always here as a resource for you, and we love hearing from students and helping you figure out issues that you're having. I've been having a lot of thoughts today because I started my doctoral program 30 years ago this year. And so seeing all you fresh faces, getting ready to start graduate school is amazing. I'll never forget the absolute thrill of starting graduate school. And I still feel so privileged to have had the opportunity to completely focus on a field. My field's early British literature, that I loved, to work with great faculty at both Ohio State and where I did my doctorate at SUNY Buffalo. And the faculty there and my colleagues molded me into the professional that I am today. And I hope that you all have the same kind of experiences at Ball State that I did. I know our faculty here are super dedicated to your success, and our programs are structured around giving students that personal feedback and attention that they need to succeed. And we see this all the time in the graduate school, all of the faculty working so hard on behalf of our students. Seeing all of you also reminds me of my wife, who decided to change professions by entering the speech pathology program at Ball State some 16 years ago. It was kind of a wild time. We had 2 small children. I was pre-tenure and trying to get tenure. I don't know how we did it, honestly, sometimes. And as you can imagine, our lives were spectacularly complicated in those 3 years that she completed her master's. But there were some difficult times, but we worked through it, and now she's in a profession that she loves. And I know a lot of you have a lot of other commitments besides going to school. You may have families, you may have children, a lot of you may have full-time jobs. And I will just say, hang in there. There's going to be rough times, but hang in there and don't give up, because a graduate degree is a gift for a lifetime and will really change your life for the better. So we can't do these kinds of things without dispensing some wisdom, so I'm going to try to dispense a little wisdom to you. And as you start thinking about this great adventure that's graduate school, I want to offer you Kenneth Burke's famous metaphor, which I think perfectly captures the process of becoming part of an advanced academic discipline. Burke was a famous literary critic and philosopher and rhetorician from the mid-20th century. And you can tell he was really smart because people are still talking about his work now, which doesn't always happen. In his book, The Philosophy of Literary Form from 1941, he discussed academic disciplines in the following way. So you have to imagine yourself in this scenario here where you're showing up to a party. He says, imagine that you enter a parlor, you come late, and when you arrive, others have long preceded you, and they are engaged in a heated discussion, a discussion too heated for them to pause and tell you exactly what it is about. In fact, the discussion had already begun long before any of them got there, so that no one present is qualified to retrace for you all the steps that had gone before. You listen for a while until you decide that you have caught the tenor of the argument. Then you put in your oar. Someone answers, you answer him. Another comes to your defense. Another aligns himself or herself against you to either the embarrassment or gratification of your opponent, depending upon the quality of your ally's assistance. However, the discussion is interminable. The hour grows late. You must depart. And you do depart with the discussion still vigorously in progress. That's hitting a little harder for me now because this is my 24th year at Ball State and I'm starting to see the end of my career and when I will get out of the discussions in my field. But for you at the beginning of this, it tells something essential about taking up advanced work in an academic field. So even if you had a really great undergraduate education, once you get to graduate school, there's these really advanced discussions that have been going on among experts for a really long time in the field, and you all just show up. And these discussions are ongoing, and you're expected to start taking part in them at some point. So what I like about his metaphor, or this analogy, is that you are all the new people at the party. And there's been a lot of people at this party talking, and you're always late and unfamiliar with the discussion. And the people already there may or may not be that great at explaining what the discussion is about. This was certainly my experience when I started graduate school. I went to a very small, very traditional liberal arts college, and when I got to Ohio State, it was crazy. I mean, people were talking about all these theorists and authors that I had never heard of, and they all seemed really familiar with them, and I felt like, whoa, I do not know what you're talking about. And I had to work really hard to get up to speed, as Burke describes, getting up to speed in that conversation. So I think Burke's metaphor captures both the intellectual and social challenge of starting a graduate program at a new university. You don't know the faculty or your fellow students, and you're necessarily a long way from understanding the cutting-edge work in your field. But what I like about Burke's metaphor, and he doesn't explicitly say this, but that he frames it as I think of it as a party or a parlor conversation at least, and parties should be fun. I mean, this is what you signed up for, right? You're all here voluntarily. You all decided to take the step in your educational path. The chance to meet new people, develop new knowledge, become acquainted with new ideas and ways of thinking. Even though you're late to the party, and even though you might feel a little uncertain about your place in this conversation, that doesn't mean you can't catch up and fully join it. And actually, that's what graduate school is, and it really can be a lot of fun or at least enjoyable. Burke's metaphor also doesn't quite capture how these parties work, for often when a bunch of people show up, new people show up at the party, they kind of hang out together. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. And they can work with each other as well to become involved and to get up to speed. And so I really think, to me, when I look back at my graduate education, the relationships I had with the other students that I was in my cohort with, that's really one of the keys to my success. A lot of us were feeling the same way, so we formed another reading group. And we picked a book every week that everybody was talking about, and we read it together, and we got together, and then we went to the bar and had beer, and it was a great social experience, and it was a great intellectual experience. So becoming part of the community and joining with others, especially newer students who are all trying to get into this conversation together and figure out what everybody's talking about, is really, really important. So I would say, academia can be a party, and you should try to make it fun. Reading groups. I've joined writing groups in the past. We had a basketball league that we played with guys and women in the program. We all played basketball together. There were a lot of parties. There was a regular Thursday night bar meetup. So obviously for our online students, making these connections may take a different form. And I know a lot of our online students do form reading groups and writing groups that they do together online. And that's, obviously in this age of technology, we didn't have that in 1994. But I really encourage you to work hard at finding a community of your fellow students. Again, going to a party with a bunch of new friends is always easier than showing up alone. And then you can always develop communities of support outside of your program. And again, showing up is a key part of the process. Burke, writing in 1941, could not have imagined all the roadblocks to community that exist in our modern world and that we're all facing and that we all know these discussions. The distractions, the smartphones, the notifications, the social media, the sitting in our own homes watching Netflix, ignoring the other people around us. I would really advise you, show up. Show up to and especially if you're like, I don't want to do that, that's when you really should show up. To the lectures that are going on in your department, to the intellectual experiences that are happening on our campus. The graduate school is going to offer mixers and other events. You'll hear from Anu in a minute. The Graduate Student Association is going to be offering a lot of different things. So I think showing up and forming that community will strengthen you, especially at those times when graduate school gets hard. So I would say I've been part of the party of people who study early British literature for 30 years, and I've never gotten tired of it. Burke captures that thrill of being part of an open-ended academic discourse, a process of becoming and learning that never ends, taken up with a group of people who have shared interests and who feel that there is always something more to learn and know. So I'm excited for you. I hope you will make the most of your time here at Ball State, which is a great place to join this intellectual party. I've spent 24 years of my life here, and I can truly say that it is filled with great people who are excited that you are here and want you to succeed, including all of us in the graduate school. So get out there and join the party, and please let us know what we can do to help you. So now I'm going to turn it over to Anu Bankole, the president of the Graduate Student Government Association.
Thank you, Dr. Adam. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I knew that was going to be very cold. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, that sounds more like it. My name is Anu Bankole, and I am deeply honored to stand before you today at this moment of great achievement. Now, to the incredible cohort of graduate students, let me begin by saying, you did it. You took the hardest step by turning in your application, and you were selected. There is no stopping you now. When I first got the news that I will be standing here today to share some nuggets, pieces of advice, or whatever you choose to call the few minutes that I'll be standing here with you today, I thought to myself, what would I say? So one day, during a restroom trip at work, it's always the restroom trips, trust me, I had an aha moment while reflecting on my graduate journey here at Ball State. I remember when I first received the email that I had been accepted into the SAHI program. So the SAHI program is the Student Affairs Administration program here at Ball State. And I got full funding. I was excited. To be honest, I don't think anyone can fully describe the excitement I felt that day. And to be able to contain myself, what I did was I forwarded that email to my mom and my siblings, because I'm like, we need to party. And you might ask, why was I so excited? Well, I had been trying to get into graduate school for 8 years. So it was a big deal, a really big deal for me. And like many of you seated here today, gaining admission into the graduate school might also be a big deal for you. So, congratulations. Now, to the actual reason I stand before you today, the nuggets. The biggest principle I would like to highly encourage you to apply, or better yet, prioritize, is self-care. I know, you've heard this phrase one too many times, but please, for a couple of minutes, indulge me. There will be tight deadlines, multiple deliverables, numerous group assignments, endless discussion posts, life responsibilities, and the big one, the bills. But in the midst of all of this, do not lose yourself. Always find time to express your creativity, appreciate nature, connect with family, whatever that looks like for you. Live fully, love wholly, and laugh hard. Savor the beauty of friendships, explore parts of yourself, dare to be vulnerable. Remember that each of you brings something powerful into this campus space. Some of you are trailblazers, some are visionaries, and others bridge builders. To quote Bell Hooks, education as a practice of freedom. Freedom requires vulnerability. Now to my fellow international students, if you have any here today. I have a special one for you because I am currently living through what it means to be a graduate student in the West. And this also applies to out-of-state students too. I know the sacrifices you have made and some of the sacrifices you will continue to make along this journey. But I will tell you this for sure. It is nothing like you've ever experienced before. And when I earlier said, dare to be vulnerable, I meant this. Ask for help. You will need to learn things like a toddler, ask questions. Do not allow your environment to stifle your curiosity. Trust me, a good number of faculty here at Ball State are ready to assist you. You just need to tell them how. So please never feel ashamed of not knowing or needing additional support. Sometimes it will feel like you were uprooted from your home country and transplanted here. But I promise you that in the end, with the right attitude, it will all be worth it. Many of us have had to pivot, myself included. Coming from a background in engineering, I have been asked, often by very many people in this room, why student affairs? So it's a question I'm quite familiar with. I lead with that to say this: never forget your why. Why graduate studies? Why Ball State? Why the US? Why Indiana? Why Muncie? Why? Because your why will be tested. There will be days you are tired, days you question yourself, days you wonder if it's all worth it. On those days, come back to your why. To pursue my why, I had to convince my very African mother, who was pursuing her PhD at the time, to let me travel halfway across the country to study Sahi. She definitely had her feelings, but she let me go. And she has been my constant source of support ever since. Find your source of encouragement. Find your support system. It goes a long, long, long way. Let your why guide you at crossroads. Let your why inspire your work. Let your why keep you grounded. Let your why hold you accountable. It's only 3 letters, but it holds so much power. Finally, as I conclude, never lose the enthusiasm that brought you here. Protect your purpose, protect your joy, protect your why. And always remember that you're the main character in your story and you determine the plot. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. May the light you bring continue to disrupt the darkness of our time. Congratulations again, and welcome to Ball State. Thank you. Thank you. So now we'll be having a panel discussion with our current graduate students. So I invite them over to join me here at the podium. So please, if you will, just join me right here. Thank you. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Okay. So I particularly like this session because this is where we get into conversation with ourselves, right? You've been hearing speeches, you've been hearing talks, you've taken one or two things that you're like, yes, this will be helpful to me. But with current graduate students, you get to hear like the raw truth, right? So if you will, thank you so much for joining us today. We will start by you introducing yourself, your field of study, and what brought you to Ball State.
Hi, my name is Zach Williams. I'm a second-year master's student in getting my master's in communications. Really, just the reason why I'm here, one is I got my undergrad here, so it's just familiar enough. But two, just the faculty that I'm around, I love them a lot, and I wanted to stick with them to, pursue this, the master's that I'm getting right now, and they've just been incredibly helpful. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about like relying on your staff and faculty, but just definitely something that brought me here.
Hi, I'm Lexi Traylor. I'm also a second-year master's student in the Comm Studies program, along with Zach. And I am at Ball State because although I'm not originally from Indiana, I spent undergrad down in southern Indiana, and I had the opportunity to meet the director of grad studies for Comm Studies from Ball State, and she was so wonderful and amazing, and she encouraged me to apply. And so it was really a faculty acquaintance that brought me to Ball State, and I have continued to feel that support ever since.
2 years ago, I was sitting at the back there, listening to people, having lots of questions running through my mind, and today I'm glad to be sitting here. My name is Deborah Bempa. I come from Ghana, West Africa. That being said, I've graduated from my first master's. I had my master's in communication studies, and then this fall, I'm doing my master's in social work. We'll get to talk more about that, hopefully. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yemi Adedino. I'm originally from Nigeria. I'm a third-year PhD student in educational psychology and a second-year master's student in quantitative psychology. Okay. What brought me to Ball State? I was a teacher for 8 years, and based on what I experienced in the classroom, I felt I could initiate a change. So some faculties in Ball State, their research were in line with my research, and also a friend was a current student in Ball State, so that was what made me come to Ball State. So at the long run, you get to understand more things about why I'm still in Ball State at the moment and why I'm enjoying being in Ball State. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amira. I am in my last semester of my master's in statistics, and the reason that I came was because I was offered full funding.
That part. Thank you. Can you hear me all the way at the back? Can you all hear me? Thumbs up if you can. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you for those wonderful introductions. And while you all were introducing yourself, one thing that struck me or stuck with me was that a couple of them had been here earlier, so that means Ball State has a way of like drawing you in. So we want to know why what experiences that you've had, like if you could share with us your experiences that has had you stay back, or throughout your journey, what has had you like really enjoying your stay. So what has your experience in Ball State been like? Anybody could go.
Okay. Since I have the microphone, I'm privileged. I'll take it from there. Okay. So I come from Ghana, as I said earlier. I'm the only female among 4 male siblings. And then from where I come from, being a family person, that's to say being like a mother, being married, doing those stuff, counts as your status in society. It's very important. Often people who try to pursue academia are seen like, you don't want to be the traditional woman you have to be. So I decided that I'm going to be the traditional person I have to be, and I'm still going to pursue my academics. I'm going to get the degrees, to prove to other women, to make the path, let them know they can still be whatever they want to be and still get all those degrees. I had initially gained my admission in 2023, but I deferred due to some things, and then I came back in 2024, or I came here in 2024. It's been awesome. Ball State has been a place where I have been myself. You are not scared to be yourself. You are not scared to be vulnerable. For me, I came in as a pregnant woman. So I was a grad student. I had my assistantship. I was teaching. I was pregnant. I had my baby here. And I still continued. I graduated right on time, thanks to the graduate school. Everybody, they are awesome. There have been times I've cried in her office. I've sent her countless emails. Anu, she's been there. They are all there to help you out. So you don't be scared to ask for help, because asking for help is a sign of strength and not weakness. And then you find your support, as Anu said earlier, because you cannot be an island, trust me. You need people. Usually people think that having money or financial wealth is only what makes somebody rich. But being rich in human beings, like people, is the best thing you can have as a person, as a grad student. And Ball State, I've had that here. If I've succeeded, if I've been able to graduate from my first master's, and then I'm confident to start another one, then it's because of the community I found here and everybody being willing to help. Thank you. Okay, this way.
So I would like to add to that. One of the things that Ball State has done for me, I would say, was through the Pathway Mentorship. So from the Pathway Mentorship, I was assigned a mentor, and I would say coincidentally, my mentor from the Pathway is also my advisor. Who can put you through is very, very important, because I could ask questions when I was confused, and there were times in which, while I was asking the questions, where I'm from, it is said that men don't cry. So there are times in which while I was asking those questions, I was overwhelmed, and I started shedding tears. I couldn't hold it. I just had to shed the tears because I felt it was too much for me, but she was able to put me through, and that's one of the reasons why I'm still standing. So one of the advice I would give is, I would say you need a mentor. You need someone who has been there, who can tell you what to do, what not to do, how to do things, how not to do things. And when you have a mentor, it's as if you have someone who is telling you the direction to follow, so you don't miss your way. Thank you.
Does anyone else have something to add? Okay.
Although hard to follow up both of those, worded so beautifully, I would just reiterate that also rely on your cohort. The faculty and staff and all of the mentors you have are so wonderful, but the people in your program that are going through the exact same thing as you will also be so wonderful. And they'll be some of your closest friends while you're here. Deborah and Zach and all the rest of us, we're so close, so just rely on them.
Okay, so now everyone has spoken extensively about the fact that here in Ball State, what you will not lack is support. You just need to know what you want, that part, so you can find what you're looking for. All right? Okay. So now moving on to the next question, which is building on what some of you had shared already. What would be like your best advice to new graduates and incoming graduate students? Like your holy grail.
My best advice is to go to office hours. I think that these are very useful because I know, and sometimes when you're in class, you don't get that intimate connection with your professor, whereas when you go to office hours, they're definitely able to see where you may be confused and offer how to explain it in a way that won't be as confusing. So definitely office hours.
I would say, just for one, something I heard from somebody before I started grad school that I didn't believe at the time that now I definitely do is your first semester is the hardest. I know that's exactly what all of you want to hear right a week away from classes. But the good news is this. Just keep in mind, you, like kind of like Lexi was saying, you and all your peers are in the same spot, right? You're probably in an unfamiliar place. Even if you went to Ball State, it's unfamiliar surroundings. It's a way different type of schooling and academia that you're learning. There's all kinds of newness to it, right? So just for one, realize that, give yourself some grace, right? And then number two, don't, we call it like imposter syndrome. Don't think less of yourself or less of your abilities just because you don't know what's going on necessarily, because I guarantee at some point this semester, next, whenever, you're not going to have a clue what's going on. And here's the best part. There's at least a few other people in your class that have no clue either, okay? That's perfectly fine. That's because ultimately it's different from undergrad, right? You're not just trying to find like the right answer. You're trying to discover a brand new answer, or maybe even there's no answer and you're just like learning, right? So it's a whole new process. Just, be okay with the process. Be okay with where you're at. Like, even if you're totally uncomfortable and you don't know what's going on, you're in the right place. And I think that's just the assurance I would try to give.
Okay, so take this from me. Giving up is not an option. Can everybody say that with me? Giving up is not an option. I say this because you would have moments where you want to give up. There were times I said, okay, I think I'm going back home. Or maybe I want to quit, I want to defer. You may, or maybe I should say you would get to that point, you would question your why. But always remember, giving up is not an option because you started this for a reason and you've got to complete it. And as Nelson Mandela would say, it always seems impossible until it's done. The day I walked that stage, I'm like, okay, so I did it. So giving up is not an option. It always looks impossible until it's done. And then be ready to grow. Growth may not be in the way you expect it. It will come in different forms. It may be painful, it may be disappointing, it may be stressful, it may be happy. You feel very excited about growth, but be ready to grow, and then you'll get it. You'll do it.
Okay, I like that part. So many things to learn from there. Growth is not linear, right? And I think like we all know that, but sometimes hearing it from someone else is helpful. Okay, so I have asked my questions. It's your turn to ask questions. So who has questions? Wonderful. We're gonna have to share the mic. So I will hand it to you. I will repeat your question, and then I'll hand it over to the panelists.
Thank you. Well, my name is Ethan. I'm in the SAHI program. My question was just, what's like the biggest culture shock you had coming from undergrad to grad school?
That's a great question. What was your biggest culture shock? Truth is, if I had to answer that question, we won't leave here, but let me hand it over to
My biggest culture shock was that the books that the professors ask you guys to get is actually very important. I know sometimes you guys don't want to spend that money or read that book, but I promise reading the book is definitely beneficial. So definitely the importance of the books that they tell us to get.
Okay, for me, I would say the amount of readings you have to do as a graduate student, you read a lot. And when you get to 700 courses, the reading is annoying. There was a day I walked up to my advisor and I was like, I don't know, can you give me 10 hours free this week? Because I have a lot of readings to do. And she was like, it's a 700 course, so you are just starting. So the reading is going to be a lot. So you have to be able to prioritize your time to be able to read and understand. Also, my major culture shock was, I'm from Nigeria. In Nigeria, you don't question your professor. But in the US, you have to do it. And I was taught how to question my professor. I'm from a culture whereby respect is very, very important. So for me to question someone, I see it as me disrespecting them. So it took me a lot of time to be able to ask questions and maybe tell my professor that I don't feel that is right. So that's mine.
Let me add something. One of my culture shocks was that until you ask, nobody's coming to save you. Like, you've got to ask. From where I come from, sometimes I assume that people know what you need or what you are going through, so somebody can walk up to you. Oh, I see you are in this mood. Do you need this? Or, somebody can offer. But I realize over here and in grad school, you've got to ask. Whatever you need, ask. And then you get it. Even if you don't get exactly, you will get a response that would help, instead of just being afraid to ask for help and then wallowing in your sorrow and your pain. Thanks.
If there's a class discussion, the class will be discussing. So be prepared, bring your answers, your questions, and there's never a moment of awkward silence in a grad class.
Yeah, I would echo what all of them said. Number one, all very true. But another thing is just the schedule is so much different from undergrad. Like, whether it's you have assistantship responsibilities during the day, you have classes in the evening, maybe you have a day off at some point during the week. It looks very different one way or another. I don't know what each of your schedules look like, but it's probably much different than what it looked like in undergrad. But with that being said, like, I enjoyed the change of schedule. I prefer working on my work in the mornings and stuff like that. So whatever type of person you are, if, just be able to find the time that works best for you. And honestly, I think you can take advantage of, this different schedule you have in grad school really effectively, honestly. I know it's going to sound like a lot of work and everything, but I think you'll find that you'll somehow make time for it. It's going to look impossible, and it might feel impossible at times, but you'll find times when you're most productive, and you'll get used to that adjustment.
Yes, these are great points. And one thing I want to add is sleep is underrated. You got to sleep, or else you will not understand what you're reading. And you will read it a gazillion times and it will not make sense. Another thing, some of the readings may be dense, so expect that. Some of the readings may be dense, but the truth is, if you go over it, you discuss it with your cohort, you might get one thing to be able to say during that discussion in class, which is probably all you need. So go first if you don't really get the readings. Yeah. Good tip, right? Yeah. Anyone else have a question?
Hi, my name is Jay. I'm in the chemistry program, and my question is, do you have any advice on how to manage time better or prioritize self-care when you have to do research, write a thesis, go to class, and on top of that, I have 71 freshmen this semester?
Your schedule looks beautiful. Welcome to grad school. Okay, so let me echo that question. The question says, how do you manage time? How do you manage your time? How do you prioritize self-care when you have so many responsibilities kind of like tugging at you?
Well, I'll start with the time management a little bit. Also, having taught in my first year at grad school, I found that if I know I wear a lot of different hats during my time here at Ball State, then I need to pick one hat to wear at a time. So if you are about ready to go to class to teach, you wear your teacher hat. And if you're in the evening about ready to go to your own class, you wear your student hat. And maybe if there's a student email coming in, you don't look at it until tomorrow when you put your teacher hat back on. And so I think just separating those different aspects of your life makes it feel much more manageable. And just because of that, you become better at managing your time.
I'm eager to respond to this question. I remember, I think in my first week of grad school, I asked one of my professors that question. How do you draw the balance between being a professor at this? And she laughed. I was like, why is she laughing? She goes like, you may never be able to balance it. You've got to do what you've got to do. So I'll start with the self-care part. Take self-care this way. It's like the cup you are pouring from, right? And you cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to fill that cup. So self-care is like, take it that's what you need to do so you can function properly and then give out your best. So make time for yourself. If your self-care is sleeping, make time to sleep. If it's eating, eat something you crave, something you want to eat. If it's playing sport, going out, speaking to family, whatever you do that makes you feel good about yourself to be productive, just do it. Give time to that. Time management. Good point about wearing different hats, knowing when to put on what hat. But know when you are most productive. For me, I did more of the grading of I taught public speaking. So a lot of the time I graded like late night or early morning. Maybe when I'm not able to sleep, I wake up around 3 a.m. or something like that. I do the grading, I can get some of the things done. And then during the day, I'll teach. Then in the evenings, I'll go for my class. So just know which times of the day works best for you, and then you do it. You may not be able to figure everything out, which is very fine. Don't be in a hurry to figure everything out, because you'll be trying, and then some of the things may not work. You keep trying till you get it. Yeah, thanks.
I think time management will always be work in progress because there's no perfect way we can manage our time. For me, my first year, I struggled, but 3 years in the line, I would say I use time blocking. So my first 2 hours of the day is very important for me. Research, writing, search for the articles I need, maybe anything I want to do, the first 2 hours of the day is very important. And I plan, well, I've been lucky. So since my first year, my Fridays are always free. I don't have classes on Fridays. So I make sure I plan even my GA work, my research, everything I have to do, Friday is out. So Friday is my time off. So my advisor knows because I carry her along, so she knows sometimes she sends a mail on Friday, I might reply late or reply the following Monday because that's my main time. And also, I get to mingle with some African community, faith-based communities, which is also a way for me to replenish myself. Mm-hmm. I'm a Nigerian, I'm from Nigeria. I cook, I like to cook. So that's also a way for me to remember home. I don't forget home. So I cook everything I eat myself. So that's also a way in which you can help yourself. If I can't manage my time, I will struggle with a lot of things. So time blocking is important. You can block your time for a lot of things that you have to do. Maybe this for research, this for my personal time, this for editing. So even if you have a free time, that's when you can allocate responsibilities to that. And there's something I would like to say also. Don't be scared to say no. Because when you say no to some things, you have enough resources to apply to the yes you've said to something else. Because if you say yes to everything, you will struggle. And I experienced that in my first year, but thank God I was able to overcome that.
This kind of goes along with something Anu said earlier, but like rest and breaks is definitely something that you should prioritize. Like a lot of people kind of blow that off as like, oh, if you have time for it, take a break. No, make sure you like set times where you're either like watching a show you enjoy or you're listening to a podcast you like, calling your mom, whatever it might be. Like, go ahead and do those things. Like those are good for you, not just because it's like, oh, it's something I enjoy doing, but it replenishes you, right? It refreshes you and it helps you actually do better work because now it's like, all right, I've taken a break, my mind's reset, I can go back into whatever it is that I need to be doing. Like definitely prioritize those things. Like along those lines too, like we keep talking about like connections and relationships. Like, yeah, prioritize time with friends, times with family. Again, like call a friend, call a family member, whatever you need to do, like go ahead and do that. Like it's definitely encouraged and something that's going to be really beneficial for you to maintain those connections because you're not only a student, right? You guys have lives outside of this and that's something that is definitely important for you to keep up. So I would just heavily encourage, those types of things to help with your walk in grad school.
Thank you. So very important one. I'm about to plug the graduate school. We have what we call the Mental Wellness Matters course. Sign up for those. Thank me later.
Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'm doing the Historic Preservation Master's degree. I'm on the 2-year plan. It's actually like a condensed year program, and I'm older, and this is my second master's degree. I had the other one 30 years ago. And this is a very serious question, but feel free to laugh. I don't care, because it's fine by me, but it just ties into what you guys are talking about. I commute from Indy. It's an hour each way. I love Speechify for my readings, because, you know, who has time to read when you're driving? This is serious. I don't know how to tell you guys how serious I am about this question. Where can I take a nap that is not my car?
Just before you answer, unfortunately, that will be our last question today, because and I'm glad it's a very important question. So, yes, if you do have questions, please, the Dean of the Graduate School is right there. You can ask him. We have the Associate Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Robin Phelps-Ward. You can definitely ask her. You can ask me questions too. We're very open door policy. We are an open door policy office, so please feel free to ask us questions. But for the purpose of this session, this will be our final question. Yes, Amira.
If you're a graduate assistant and you have an office, then I would say definitely sleep in your office. And if not, you can go in the library. I think it's the second floor where it's like complete silence or like minimal silence. So you can definitely sleep in there too. And I think everyone understands everyone's struggles. So it's like if you end up sleeping in the caf or something like that, if you're comfortable, then nobody is really judging you. Like, we're all tired.
I'm tempted to say, I know the counseling center, they have this
Massage chairs.
relaxation room. Yes, and then you could go there and make use of that, you know. You can have these chairs massage you and all of that and just relax. It may not be the perfect nap, but yeah. Try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, so the library, right, you can even like book some spaces where you can use as like your workspaces for reading, studying, or whatever. You can definitely take a nap in those. I would also say like just walk around campus. There are some like open spaces that people wouldn't mind, except if like you're not so, you know, organized with your sleeping, then don't sleep in certain places. I hope that's not judgmental, but yeah. So on this note, I want to say a big thank you to the panelists, and I'll be inviting Dr. Robin Phelps-Ward right now.
Alrighty, thank you so much to our panelists for being a part of orientation. Thank you so much to our wonderful Graduate Student Government Association President and Doctoral Assistant in the Graduate School, Anu, for facilitating that session. Can you all hear me here in the back? Yes, wonderful. And I also want to say thank you to our staff. I know Dean Beach mentioned them earlier, but I'm going to have them wait because they play a really important role in your time as a graduate student here at Ball State. And so I'd like to have Courtney Quinn, our graduation coordinator, wave. She's going to be facilitating our STELIC workshop next week for our extended orientation. She's the person who's going to confer your degree, work with your program director, your faculty to help make sure you're on track. We have Michelle Miller, who is our administrative assistant to the dean, who helps us with all our budget, helps our faculty make sure they have graduate faculty status. She's the person who's going to help if you're doing a thesis, a creative project, a research paper, a thesis. So please make sure you respond to emails from her. And then Karen Mandino, if you have a GA-ship, raise your hand if you have a graduate assistantship this year. Yes, that's about half of the room. You've gotten an email probably from Karen Mandino, and will receive more from her if you have an additional year of assistantship, but she's the person who's going to help you navigate any of the guidelines and information about what you can or can't do as a graduate assistant. And my name is Dr. Robin Phelps-Ward. I'm the Associate Dean of the Graduate School, and I'm the person who's going to help you understand policies, our graduate catalog, and help you get connected with all of the resources here at Ball State. So those are a few of the people I want to mention and thank for their work here. one message and another nugget for you to remember, which has been communicated in different ways by our panelists and our speakers earlier, Dr. Beach, is that you deserve to be here, that you are here for a reason. So when there are doubts in your mind, when you're feeling like you're in over your head, like you're the only person who doesn't get it, know that you're not. It's somebody else in the room who feels the same way, that you have worked hard and have earned your right here to be here, and that there's so many opportunities, so many possibilities. And if you don't see a possibility model here within your graduate program, amongst your faculty, you're also within a whole field and discipline, and they'll be able to support you and connect with you as well. If you need help as you move through your program, please see me as a resource. Please pull out that handout that you got when you walked in. This is just a smattering of some of the wonderful resources that you have access to as a graduate student. So on the top left corner is our extended orientation schedule. So starting next Monday, we're going to have virtual meet and greets. Typically, you know, folks are coming here with not a ton of friends, but you're going to make them, not only within your program, but outside of your program. And so we're going to do kind of a speed networking style session via Zoom. We have one at noon and one at 5 p.m. that you're invited to. You just come onto the Zoom, and we're going to get you connected and talking with each other. On Tuesday, you're going to, again, have an opportunity to learn about Stellic. That is our degree resource, our software that we use to help you know where you are. If you're 50% done, if you have another milestone to complete, like a comprehensive exam, it's going to be kept track there. You're also going to have an opportunity to learn about resources for research. So we're going to have a talk about IRB, Institutional Review Board, and what that looks like, what kind of training you need to do, and the resources associated with that, and how to get some funding through Aspire. We're also going to have a session on wellness resources, generative AI, and how that can work for your work, and then skills for writing and support for writing. So there's a whole lot of resources that we're going to be sharing with you and going in depth about next week, but we hope that you'll continue to engage with these offices, that you're also going to meet at our resource fair. Please join the Graduate Student Government Association. Their meetings are Fridays at 5 p.m. and they're high flex, so you can join via Zoom and you can come in person in West Quad. We've got our 3-minute thesis competition. This is a national competition, started in Canada or Australia, I can't remember, but it happens every year. We're in our 8th year, I think, will be our annual competition, and you can win up to $1,000. So we hope that you participate in that and tell us in 3 minutes or less about your scholarly research. We have our Write On Writing Retreat. It actually happens mainly in this room, where you're going to spend a day getting an opportunity to write, but also learn about resources to write. So we're going to talk about things like imposter phenomenon and time management and a bunch of other types of topics. You'll see here some opportunities for funding. I hope you apply for those. Money is here and it is available. You just need to apply, and those Aspire grants are rolling. Get involved with our mixers. We're going to have socials, lots of free food at Roots. It's down the street here on University. And our Mental Wellness Matters course is an opportunity as well for you to practice thinking about things like your self-care and your time management and your sleep hygiene. So again, if you take nothing from the session today, know that the Graduate School is a resource for you. I'm going to give out some prizes here. So if you have your red tickets, I'm going to give away 6. And if you're online, we're going to find out who was in the Zoom. We're going to find 6 people through our wheel of names, and then we're going to email and mail your prize to you. But for those who are in the room, I'm going to say a number twice. If you missed it, you missed it. Please pull your number up and look at it. But we've got some really wonderful swag packages here that includes a lunchbox and lots of fun stuff in here, including a tumbler, sunglasses, a fan, and some other wonderful things that Anu has put together for you. All righty. So first number is 614-454. All righty. 614-454. We have a winner? Yes, come get your prize. Congratulations. Next number, 614-527. 614-527. All right, another winner. I love it. Congratulations. Here you are. Thank you. All right, another one here. 614-493. 614-493. Come on down. I always wanted to be on The Price is Right. This is as close as I'm going to get. 614-495. Oh, yes. Congratulations. We've got 2 more lunch bags here full of swag. 614-534. 614-534. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, last winner here, 614-559. 614-559. All right, congratulations. Well, this concludes our formal orientation program. We want to welcome you here to Ball State. Please reach out to me, reach out to our office if you have questions, if we can help you. We have a reception and a resource fair where you'll get more swag to fill up your clear tote bags. And that is happening down the hall, all the way at the end on this floor in our ballroom. And it's to the right. We're going to turn this banner around to show our Benny Wing. So if you'd like to take some photos here to commemorate the day, please do. But thank you so much and have a great year at Ball State.